Hey there, friends. How are things going? It's Brendan Thomas Marrett. Welcome to the fifth part of our six-part series on the life of Joseph in Genesis. He is such an understated hero, but one of my favorites. If you are new here, thank you so much for checking out the channel. If you are a regular, you're very, very welcome also. Please do hit the like button, it helps the video with the algorithm. And also, please do consider sharing and subscribing as well, so that you never miss out on any updates or new content, which I post almost weekly. Although I want to even intensify that and increase it to daily, or at least every other day. So please turn with me in your Bibles to Genesis 42. Genesis 42. It says, when Jacob, also called Israel, that's Joseph's father, who is convinced that he's dead, who's convinced that he was eaten by animals over a decade ago, learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, why do you just keep looking at each other? You're doing nothing. Is sitting down, looking at each other, like, doing anything? Are you helping? Hello. He continued, I've heard that there's grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us. So that, we'll live and, actually no, not die, which we will do if we follow your example of doing nothing. He was very sassy in his old age. I love that about old people. They reach a point where they just don't give a toss anymore, and they say it as it is. Then 10 of Joseph's brothers, these are his 10 older brothers, went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Joseph did not send Benjamin, Joseph's younger brother and his youngest son, with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come to him. His relationship with the 10 oldest was quite strained. Their sister Dinah had been engaged years earlier, and some of them pretty much murdered her fiance's family. Others treated the animals very, very cruelly, which isn't great, when you're a farming family. Reuben, his oldest son, slept with one of his father's concubines. It was a crazy family, a nuts family. He had a son, Judah, who slept with his son's widow and then tried to set her on fire. It was just a crazy family, a nuts family. So Jacob's kind of thinking, if these 10 die, it's no great loss to society or to the world. Yikes. Yes, verse 4. Let's go through that again. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with the others, because he was afraid some harm might come to him. So Israel's sons, again Jacob and Israel, same person, were among those who went to buy grain, for the famine was in the land of Canaan also. It was all across the ancient world, Egypt and the surrounding areas. Now Joseph was the governor of the land, the one who sold grain to all of its people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, interesting, look at this. This is the dream that Joseph had. His brothers bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them. But he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. Where do you come from? He asked. From the land of Canaan, they replied. We're here to buy food. Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. Then he remembered his dreams about them and said to them, you are spies. You have come to see where our land is unprotected. You want to come to Egypt in our moment of vulnerability and to steal from us. No, my lord, they answered. Your servants have come to buy food. We're all the sons of one man. Your servants are honest men, not spies. Oh my goodness, I'm sure he was gagging when they said they're honest. Good one. What happened to Joseph again? Alright, yeah, he was eaten by an animal. Okay. No, he said to them. You've come to see where our land is unprotected. But they replied, your servants were 12 brothers, the sons of one man, who lives in the land of Canaan. We're getting a little bit more honest now at this point. Little. The youngest is now with our father, and one is no more. Joseph said to them, it is just as I told you. You are spies, and this is how you'll be tested. As surely as Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Now this is interesting, okay, because he had been the youngest before Benjamin came along, and he was treated like crap, like the dirt beneath their shoes. So it seems to me like he wants to see if they're doing the same thing to Benjamin, or if Benjamin's actually been okay all these years under their care or tyranny. He had no way of knowing. Verse 16. Send one of your number to get your brother. The rest of you will be kept in prison, so that your words may be tested to see if you are telling the truth. Let's be honest, a prison sentence was the least they deserved. If you're not, then as surely as Pharaoh lives, you're spies. And he put them all in custody for 3 days. What the significance of 3 days? Well, Jesus was in the underworld, which for him was paradise, hell, Tartarus, and heaven. He was in all the afterlives for 3 days before coming back to life again. So here, they're kept in shadow for 3 days before they're let out. On the 3rd day, Joseph said to them, do this, and you will live, for I fear God. If you're honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison, while the rest of you go back and take grain to your starving households. But you must bring your youngest brother to me, so that your words may be verified, and that you may not die. This they proceeded to do. So he was going to keep one of them in bondage, one of them in prison, send the others back, but he still wanted to know that he knew that Benjamin was alright. That Benjamin was alive, and hadn't been sold into slavery as well. They said to one another, surely we're being punished because of our brother. We saw how distressed he was when he pleaded with us for his life, but we would not listen. That's why this distress has come upon us. The law of attraction. What they had dealt to Joseph was now being dealt upon them. They had done wickedness, and now wickedness was being done upon them. They had this understanding that they were living in a harvest, and they had harvested seeds of evil, and they were now reaping that evil on their own heads. Reuben replied. Now, Reuben is not a very good guy. He did sleep with his father's wife, but he is the one who had tried to rescue Joseph in the first place. Didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy? Joseph. But you wouldn't listen. There's always someone else to blame. Now we must give an accounting for his blood. They did not realize that Joseph could understand them, since he was using an interpreter. So again, he didn't want them to know that he was one of them, a Hebrew, so he was speaking in Egyptian, and the interpreter was translating for him. And then they would speak, and the translator would speak back in Egyptian, but he knew exactly what was going on, but they didn't know. It was all part of his mystique. Verse 24. Joseph turned away from them and began to weep. It's very interesting. All the things he's been through thus far, and you've never actually gotten a real emotional response from him. Okay, in prison with the butler, he said, that he'd been treated very badly in his home, in his father's household. But you don't actually see him break before now. You don't see him weep before now. You don't see him cry before now. You don't see him visibly demonstrate emotion before this point. But suddenly it all comes up. Verse 24, he began to weep, but then turned back and spoke to them again. he had Simeon taken from them and bound before their eyes. Again, Simeon, not a good guy. No great loss. Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain, to put each man's silver back in his sack, and to give them provisions for their journey. So they had paid silver to get the grain, and now he's giving them back what they had paid. But they don't know this is happening. After this was done for them, they loaded their grain on their donkeys and left. So they're leaving with the grain that they bought, as well as the silver that they had paid. Why is that significant? Because they had sold him for silver. This is a hard test. He's trying to expose if they're the same men who had sold him to slavery, or if they have actually changed, if they are different. Back then, they loved profit more than people. They loved money more than men. They loved bounty more than a brother. Was that still the case? Time would tell. At the place where they stopped for the night, one of them opened his sack to get feed for his donkey, and he saw his silver in the mouth of his sack. "My silver has been returned," he said to his brothers. "Here it is in my sack." Their hearts sank, and they turned to each other, trembling, and said, "What is this that God has done to us?" That's right, blame God for all your problems. When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them. They said, "The man who is Lord over the land spoke harshly to us and treated us as though we were spying on the land." You almost feel sorry for them, almost. "But we said to him, 'We are honest men.'" Who do they think they're kidding? Their father knows they're full of crap. "We're not spies. We were 12 brothers, sons of one father. One is no more, and the youngest is now their father in Canaan." Now you can just imagine Jacob face-palming at this moment. Are you serious? Then the man who was Lord over the land said to us, "This is how I will know whether you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me, and take food for your starving households and go. But bring your youngest brother to me, so I'll know you're not spies, but honest men. Then I'll give your brother back to you, and you can trade in the land." As they were emptying their sacks, there in each man's sack, so not just one, all of them, was his pouch of silver. When they and their father saw the money pouches, they were frightened. They probably thought, "Oh my goodness, they are going to assume that we stole this, and they're going to kill Simeon." Dirty Egyptians. Their father Jacob said to them, "You have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more." Now, in fairness, he is the one who sent Joseph out after them. And now you want me to take Benjamin? Everything is against me. That actually is really sad. Jacob's life is tremendously sad. Abraham had a lot of difficult moments and some really incredible ones. Isaac had a few challenging moments, but overall, mostly good. But Isaac's life is, Jacob's life is tremendously sad. A lot of waiting, a lot of running away, a lot of betrayals, a lot of slaps across the face. Then Reuben said to his father, "Oh my goodness, you may put both of my sons to death if I do not bring him back to you. Entrust him to my care, and I will bring him back." So basically, yeah, because of us, you lost Joseph. And because of us, Benjamin has to go to Egypt as well. But an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a hand for a hand. If we do not return this son, you can put 2 of mine to death. You can kill your two of your grandsons. But Jacob said, "My son will not go down with you. His brother is dead, and he's the only one left." Perhaps when Jacob looked at him, he saw a picture of Rachel, his favourite wife, who was also dead. If harm comes to him on the journey you're taking, you'll bring my grey head down to the grave in sorrow. If he even gets hurt, I'll die. Ooh, my goodness. Chapter 43. Now the famine was still severe in the land. There's been a passage of time. Weeks, maybe months have passed. Poor Simeon is sitting in jail not knowing what's going on. He probably now feels incredibly abandoned, just as Joseph had originally. And Joseph's probably thinking, oh my goodness, Shakers, they can't stand Simeon. Or, what have they done to Benjamin? Maybe they haven't brought him, because there is no Benjamin left. You just imagine what's happening in all their heads. So when they'd eaten all the grain they had brought from Egypt, again, there has been a passage of time, their father said to them, go back and buy us a little more food. But Judah said to him, the man warned us solemnly, you will not see my face again unless your brother is with you. If you will send our brother Benjamin along with us, we'll go down and buy food for you. But if you won't send him, we won't go down, because the man said to us, you will not see my face again unless you bring your brother with you. He's trying to make this as crystal clear and as simple for the obstinate, stubborn old man as he can. Israel asked, why did you bring this trouble on me by telling the man you had another brother? Could you not have just said you were 10 men with families? Did you have to mention an 11th? They replied, the man questioned us closely about ourselves and our family. Let's be honest, he knew what questions to ask. He was their brother. Is your father still living? Joseph, or Zaphanet Paneah, had asked them. Do you have another brother? A very pointed question. Although it's interesting he doesn't mention the sister, Dinah. We simply answered his questions. How were we to know? He'd say, bring the other brother down here. Then Judah said to Israel his father, send the boy along with me, and we will go at once, so that we, and you, and our children may live and not die. So basically, he's saying, in a very polite way, Father, you're being selfish. You are putting your life on the line. You're putting your favorite son's life on the line. You're putting our lives at risk, but you don't care about us. Do you care about your grandkids, your grandsons, your granddaughters, our wives, the in-laws? Hello. I myself will guarantee his safety. You can hold me personally responsible for him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him here before you, I will bear the blame before you all my life. Wow. You know, Jesus is sometimes called the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Judah's descendants they became a big tribe in Egypt, in the land of Israel, the Promised Land, a big portion of the land. And in fact, they even became a kingdom at one point. Jesus heralded from there, and the same way Judah says, listen, I will bear the punishment forever. Jesus bore the punishment for our sins once and for all time on the cross. So again, it's a prophetic picture of something to come. But Judah did not know that back then, and he's pretty ticked off. Verse 10, as it is, if we had not delayed, we could have gone and returned twice. Yikes. Then their father Israel relented, and he said to them, if it must be, then do this. Put some of the best products of the land in your bags, and take them down to the man as a gift. A little bam and a little honey. I'm sure all they had was a little. They were very financially strapped and poor and hungry in this famine. Some spices and myrrh, some pistachio nuts and almonds. Take double the amount of silver with you, for you must return the silver that was put back into the mouths of your sacks. Perhaps it was a mistake. So, don't assume it was a gift. Don't assume it was intentional. We'll assume it was a mistake. Pay them back. Pay them extra. Take your brother also, and go back to the man at once. And may God Almighty, El Shaddai, God of the angel armies, the host of heaven, grant you mercy before the man, so that he will not let your other brother and Benjamin come back. Forgive me, so that he will let Simeon and Benjamin come back with you. As for me, if I'm bereaved, I'm bereaved. If he dies, he dies. If this is it, this is it. If my life is supposed to be a miserable one, well, c'est la vie. It is what it is. So the men took the gifts and doubled the amount of silver, and Benjamin also. They hurried down to Egypt because, they were starving. Their wives were starving. Their kids were starving. Their father was starving. And presented themselves to Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of the house, "Take these men to my house, slaughter an animal and prepare dinner. They are to eat with me at noon." He just couldn't believe his younger brother, one of his favorite people in the world, was alive and well. The man did as Joseph told him and took the men to Joseph's house. Now, the men were frightened when they were taken to his house. I would be too. They thought, "We were brought here because of the silver that was put back into our sacks the first time. He wants to attack us and overpower us and seize us as slaves and take our donkeys." Worst case scenario. So they went up to Joseph's steward and spoke to him at the entrance to the house. "Please, sir," they said, "can I have some more?" Oliver Twist. "We came down here the first time to buy food. But at the place where we stopped for the night, we opened our sacks, and each of us found his silver, the exact weight to the mouth of his sack. So we've brought it back with us. We've also brought additional silver with us to buy food. We don't know who put the silver in our sacks." "It's all right," he said. "Don't be afraid. Your God, and the God of your father, has given you treasure in your sacks. I received your silver." Then he brought Simeon out to them, and they were probably thinking, eh? The steward took the men into Joseph's house, gave them water to wash their feet, and provided fodder for their donkeys. They prepared their gifts for Joseph's arrival at noon, because they had heard that they were to eat there. When Joseph came home, they presented to him the gifts they brought into the house, and they bowed down before him to the ground. He asked them how they were, and then he said, "How is your aged father you told me about? Is he still living?" They replied, "Your servant, our father, is still alive and well." Well, alive, I'm not sure how well he was. And they bowed low to pay him honor. As he looked about and saw his brother Benjamin, his own mother's son, he asked, "Is this your youngest brother, the one you told me about?" And he said, "God be gracious to you, my son." Deeply moved at the sight of his brother, Joseph hurried out and looked for a place to weep. He went into his private room and wept there. Oh my goodness, he was overcome with emotion. After he had washed his face, he came out and, controlling himself, said, "Serve the food." They served him by himself, the brothers by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because Egyptians could not eat with Hebrews, for that's detestable to Egyptians. So Joseph had his own table, the head table. The Egyptians ate over here, and his brothers ate another one. The men had been seated before him in the order of their ages, from the firstborn to the youngest, so from Reuben to Benjamin. And they looked at each other in astonishment. They couldn't believe what was happening. When portions were served to them from Joseph's table, Benjamin's portion, oh my heavenly days, was 5 times as much as anyone else's. So they feasted and drank freely with him. So he's pouring out incredible favor on his brother. not so much as half brothers. But again, this is all part of a ruse. He's being sneaky. It's all part of his mystique. He has a plan for another major heart exposure. Chapter 44. Now Joseph gave these instructions to the steward of the house. Fill the men's sacks with as much food as they can carry, and put each man's silver in the mouth of his sack. Then put my cup, the silver one, in the mouth of the youngest one's sack, along with the silver for his grain. And he did as Joseph said. As morning dawned, the men were sent on their way with their donkeys. When they had not gone far from the city, Joseph said to his steward, "Go after these men at once, and when you catch up with them, say to them, 'Why have you repaid good with evil? Isn't this the cup my master drinks from and also uses for oogity-boogity divination?'" As if Joseph did divination. Good one. "This is a wicked thing you've done. Ugh." The steward probably thought, this guy is nuts. When he caught up with them, he repeated these words to him. What else was he going to do? He probably thought, my boss has gone crackers. He's lost his mind, but okay, whatever. But the brothers said to him, "Why does my lord say such things? Far be it from your servants to anything like that. Jakers, we even brought back to you the land of Canaan, from the land of Canaan, the silver we found inside the mouths of our sacks. So why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? If any of your servants is found to have it, he will die, for the rest of us will become my lord's slaves." "Very well then," he said, "let it be as you say. Whoever is found to have it," he's very confident, "will become my slave. The rest of you will be free from blame." Each of them quickly lowered his sack to the ground and opened it. Then the steward proceeded to search, beginning with the oldest and ending with the youngest. So at this point, they're looking at all the grain they have. Now they all find that they've all got their silver back again, so they're probably thinking, this is insane, what is happening? But when they get all the way down to Benjamin, the cup was found in his sack. At this they tore their clothes. Then they all loaded their donkeys and returned to the city. Oh, good heavens. Joseph was still in the house when Judah and his brothers came in, and they threw themselves to the ground before him. Probably just thinking, this is the worst case scenario. We don't think Benjamin did it, but something's going on. We sowed evil seeds, and the harvest is being reaped on him. We sowed evil against our youngest brother, and it's being reaped on this youngest brother as well. Joseph said to them, "What is this you've done? Don't you know that a man like me can find things out by divination?" Okay. "What can we say to my lord?" Judah replied. "What can we say? How can we prove our innocence? God has uncovered your servant's guilt. We are now my lord's slaves, we ourselves, and the one who was found to have the cup." But Joseph said, "Far be it from me to do such a thing. Cop yourself on, are you having a laugh? Good one. Only the man who is found to have my cup will become my slave. The rest of you, go back to your father in peace, bugger off, get out of my country, go home, bye-bye, toodaloo." Then Judah went up to him and said, "Please, my lord, let your servant speak a word to my lord. Don't be angry with your servant, though you are equal to Pharaoh himself. My lord asked his servants, 'Do you have a father or a brother?' And we answered, 'We have an aged father, and there's a young son born to him in his old age.'" This is the conversation they had in the first visit. "His brother's dead, and he's the only one of his mother's sons left, and his father loves him." That's what they said the first time. "Then you said to your servant, 'Bring him down to me so I can see him for myself.'" We said to my lord, the boy cannot leave his father. If he leaves him, his father will die. But you told your servants, unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you will not see my face again. When we went back to your servant, my father, we told him what my lord Zaphanet Paneah had said. Then our father said, go back and buy a little more food. But we said we can't go down. Only if our youngest brother Benjamin is with us will we go. We can't see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us. Your servant, my father, said to us, you know that my wife bore me 2 sons. One of them went away from me, and I said he has surely been torn to pieces, eaten by an animal, and I haven't seen him since. If you take this one from me too when harm comes to him, you will bring my grey head down to the grave in misery. So now if the boy is not with us when I go back to your servant my father, and if my father, whose life is closely bound up with the boy's life, sees the boy isn't there, he will die. Your servants will bring the grey head of our father down to the grave in sorrow. Your servant guaranteed the boy's safety to my father. I said if I do not bring him back to you, I will bear the blame before you. My father, all my life, I have a moral obligation to bring him back. Now then, please let your servant, me, Judah, remain here as my lord's slave in place of the boy, and let the boy return with his brothers. How can I go back to my father if the boy isn't with me? No. Do not let me see the misery that would come upon my father. So, the brothers had originally despised Joseph, and they sold him for silver. Now they've been given silver, and they've returned it. And instead of trying to sell a brother as a slave, they're willing to sell themselves as slaves for him, especially in this case, Judah. So we see that this has been a love test. This has been a heart-exposing exercise. And, it's very interesting that it happens in a form that they wouldn't anticipate. When they first heard that Joseph would be raised up over them and they would bow down to him, they couldn't handle it. They thought, oh no, this little brat, this little pipsqueak, we can't bow down to him. He's our younger brother. This is wrong. Ugh. But yet they bow before him when he's in a different appearance. They rely on him for help, for sustenance, for deliverance, for food, for salvation, when he's in a new form, a different form, an unexpected form, a different guise, a different name, different clothes, speaking a different language. Isn't that just like Jesus? When people hear that Jesus is a king, they don't picture him wearing a crown of thorns. When people hear of Jesus as Lord, they don't picture someone that you could be taller than and stronger than. When people think, that Jesus owns the cattle on 1,000 hills and 1,000 hills, they don't picture a man who needed to be a carpenter to make a living. When people hear that Jesus is the creator of the world of heaven, they don't picture a guy who's walking around without a place to put his head at night. When people hear that the Lord is our provider, they don't think of someone who needed humans to provide for his ministry. Judas was collecting the tithe, was collecting the gift offerings from people for a reason, because it was needed, it was necessary. But ultimately it was in that form of a poor man, by comparison to his heavenly self, of a man with a ministry that involved a lot of walking, a lot of staying with people, a lot of hotels. It was in an unexpected form that Jesus saved us. an unexpected form as he hung on the cross, butt naked, covered in blood and scars and sores and bruises, with his body sticking out, spears stuck into his side. Because God will use the foolish things of this world to confound those who are wise in their own eyes, to stupefy them, to make them stupid, but to those who have eyes to see, that they'll see, those who have ears to hear, that they'll hear, those who have a heart to know and understand, that they will know and understand. He does things a backwards way, an unexpected way, a strange way, an unusual way. It's part of his mystique. Because he exposes people's hearts. He exposes what's within. Exposes people's character. And all throughout your life, he'll expose whether or not you've matured, whether or not you've grown, whether or not you've backslidden or backtracked, gone in the wrong direction, if you're on the right track, if you're doing amazingly and you're so much further on than anyone could have predicted. So now that Joseph has taken out his scalpel and he's opened up the heart cavity and he's exposed what's in their hearts, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but especially the good, he decides to reveal himself to his brothers, to come clean, to say who he is. And we're going to look at the incredible conclusion to this story in the next episode. Hope to see you there.